Hello and welcome to the dungeon. My name is Dan, and in this video we're gonna have a nice long chat about Anthem. Anthem is not a good game. So let's start at the basics. First of all, the developer is a company called Bioware, who you may be familiar with if you're a fan of story-focused RPGs. These are the people who made Dragon Age, who made Mass Effect, Knights of the Old Republic, the first one, Baldur's Gate and its sequel. So a lot of good, strong storytelling games with focus on character and choice. Games I really do like. Anthem is not a game like that. This is a looter shooter with an emphasis on the shooting side of things, where you're flying around in an Iron Man-like suit blowing shit up. So this is an always online title, which means you need an internet connection. Very simple and straightforward. Obviously, that's fine on Origin, where you don't have to pay to play your games online, but if you're playing on Xbox or PlayStation, then obviously you have to fork out to Sony or Microsoft for the privilege. Me personally, the footage you see in front of you is all from the PlayStation version. So, here is my first criticism. Why is this game always online? There doesn't seem to be a need for it. Yes, a lot of the missions, if not all of them, are done in co-op with you and 3 other people, but you can play this game solo if you want. It'll be harder, no doubt, since the game is designed for, well, more than one person, but you can give it a shot and just do your best. So why are they forcing people to have an online connection to give Anthem a try? I'll tell you why. Money. The idea is simple. You do a mission, you do the best that you can do, or whatever. The 3 other people are also doing the same mission as well and trying to do it as best as they can do. At the end of the mission, you get to see everyone nice and clearly, including any cosmetic armor pieces they may or may not have. That in turn makes you think, you know what, I want that too. I'll have to either grind for it or pay to get the didgeridoo currency. So yes, I wasn't happy I had to pay $6.99 for the privilege of playing this game online when I didn't have to, but there you go. But Dan, some of you might say, why not play it on PC? Well, I tried the demo and it barely worked for me, so I thought I'll give the PC version a pass this time until I get a better graphics card. But yeah, I tried that, it didn't work. So now that's done, let's get into what Anthem is all about. I still don't quite know. When the game begins, it throws a lot of words at you, like Shaper and Heart of Rage, and you're expected just to follow people's lead and complete a mission, and then it kind of goes a bit south, and then some time pass, and then you're doing your own thing, and that's alright. But in terms of a lot of these terms, yeah, they get mentioned a hell of a lot throughout the campaign, but my understanding hasn't really improved. I mean, Shapers, I guess, are a race on this planet who are highly advanced and left relics behind for some reason. Don't know what happened to them. That might have been explained, that might get explained in DLC down the line. Who knows? Don't really know what the planet is called. I think it was called Bastion, but that might be the continent. I don't know why people are there. Are people normally there, or did they come from Earth or some other planet? Don't know, doesn't really mention. It might be in the lore, I don't know, it didn't come up. Oh yeah, and what's with all the weird accents? I say weird, what I mean is there's a Russian guy you have a chat with who gives you missions, and then there's some Welsh guy who also talks to you and, you know, has some camaraderie. Where do these accents come from? Is there a Welsh town? Is there a Russiaville? Who the heck knows? And the reason why I don't know is because when you're going around the town, not in your javelin, you have one single location, Fort Tarsus, and it's not a particularly good location either. Your options of being in Fort Tarsus include walking, running, and talking. There isn't even a jump function available in case you wanted to, I don't know, jump down the stairs or jump over barricades. Not a function. So Fort Tarsus is your hub. It's here that you have various chats with people. You determine that you're a freelancer, more of that in a moment, where you basically suit up, go on missions, and try to be the hero that the fort needs. Now, these people are all standing around, so the idea is you go to them, you initiate dialogue, they either give you a mission or some background into their lives, you move on to someone else, then you do a mission. So that's the hub world for you. Kinda dull, not really a lot to do, and you have to talk to people to get to your next missions. But on the other hand, at least they put in a day-night cycle for some reason. Yes, a day-night cycle, but it makes no difference because you talk to people whenever. And it's not like you only get mugged if you go at night, or at daytime you see stuff better. It's somewhat of an unnecessary feature, as well as the fact that in most first-person games, they don't bother to make your feet, since when are you ever going to look down at your feet? Not in Anthem. So thanks for that, Bioware. Thanks for that little feature. I'm sure that was worth the development time. I don't want to keep on talking about the hub because it is the dullest part of the game. But I will say one thing in its defense. If you do certain missions, you can get experience with certain factions, and the more you get, the more they like you. This will show in physical effects, such as getting water in the pool. It doesn't seem to do anything apart from look nice, but hey, you can actually change Fort Tarsus just a little bit. But where you'll be spending most of the game is in this open world type island map. And get used to knowing where things are on it because you'll be seeing it a hell of a lot. In terms of size, it's probably no smaller than most other open world games, but considering you're going through it a lot faster in your jetpack, it all starts to look very samey after a while. I hope you like greenery and the occasional water features, because you're shit out of luck if you wanted anything different, such as tundras or deserts or swamps, anything like that. Even for interior, you don't get too much apart from the occasional cave and a few ruins. You can't even really go into buildings on this type of map. So suffice it to say, more options to go places would definitely improve this game, and I'm sure they'll make it in their infamous roadmap. I'm sure there will be some Icy Plains DLC or Molten Volcano update, but I don't have any of that here, so there you go. And bearing in mind, I'm playing this game over a month after launch. I thought I'd give it some time, let the developer get through a few snags, make it seamless, make it nice. And if this is how the game is now, I dread to think how it was a month ago. Now, it is a pretty game when you're flying around, that I will give it. Lots of the greenery looks beautiful, like the flowers, the various wildlife that dot around. There are some real good like sunsets and type things with the water reflecting back the light, so that looks all majestic and stuff. And even for Tarsus, some of the people and the designs of the market stalls looks nice, nothing too spectacular, and at least the facial animations are a hell of an improvement over Andromeda. But other times it's a bit drab, you know, bare stone walls, NPCs in perfunctory outfits, nothing too eye-catching. So on the whole, looks-wise, it does its job. When it comes to sound and the audio, I do quite like the intro music for when you first start the game, and I realise why, because it's very similar to Dragon Age Inquisition. So good for Bioware to do some recycling like that. Nothing else really particularly stands out for me. Now the voice acting itself though is very good. You can tell they definitely spend a lot of time trying to get their actors to enunciate and get across the points of their characters, so I will give it props for that. Your main character certainly has a lot more personality compared to the main character of Crackdown 3, which is all the more bizarre why he doesn't have a name, or she. I'm guessing she doesn't have one either. You are called a freelancer. That is your job. Even your best friend, who is also a freelancer, calls you freelancer. When you start doing heroic shit and people are all happy and stuff, they're like, woo, there goes the freelancer. Isn't the freelancer such a good person? In Mass Effect, I had a name. It was Shepard. In Dragon Age, I had a title which was the Warden, and then Hawk, and then Inquisitor. Look, get this. In one little side story type thing, there's a grieving woman who misses her son and can't accept that he's dead, so she thinks that I'm her son. Now, at the time, I tell her, often, I am not this guy's name. At no point does it occur to me in the dialogue wheel to say, my name is this. I'm just, saying, I'm not this person. Oh, did I say dialogue wheel? I meant to say dialogue straight line. You have two options, all the time. And they don't really make much difference. So yeah, I'm glad to see Bioware's been doing some useful streamlining. In fact, why not take out conversations altogether? Just go to a point, do your mission, get your reward, repeat. When it comes to the main story, this is okay. It does what it needs to do. You're talking to various people, you go to various places, once or twice, and you interact with your three main companions. It's nothing too spectacular, and there really are no serious beats like there was in Mass Effect. What I mean in that is, in Mass Effect, no spoilers or anything, but halfway in the game, you get to choose which one of your two companions gets to live or die. It's quite a heavy moment. Later on in the same game, you could potentially kill off another one of your companions if you're not able to persuade them. There is nothing at all like this in Anthem. Dragon Age, one of my favourite games of all time, the original Origins, you could have people who disagree with you so much they will die for their beliefs and become your enemy. Apart from one point when you're trying to get some of this mystical armor, there wasn't ever a moment that was heavy like I just mentioned. It's all kind of, again, bland. I'm using that word a lot, but it's appropriate here. Storyline wise, it just plods along. The main villain is fine, if a little dull. You don't really find out much about him apart from he likes wearing a helmet and calls himself the Monitor. There aren't any particularly interesting characters apart from your three main companions who you hear when you're doing cool stuff on the field. And worse yet, it does the Metal Gear Solid type way of storytelling, which is just planting your ass down while you watch a film for 5 or 10 minutes. There was one scene where I go to this smuggler's hideout type party with the idea of trying to find my two old comrades. That would have been a good time to do some exploring and to actually look around a different environment, but no, as soon as I get there, my other companion is like, oh, hey, those are your two friends over there. So you go over there, you watch them talk to some kind of smuggler queen, more stuff happens, you get attacked, gameplay. Then it goes back to more storytelling. This is not the Bioware that I remember. Where is the choice? Obviously this is a different game. I'm talking about RPGs. This is definitely a looter shooter. But why would you make a looter shooter? Or I should say, why would EA make you make a looter shooter? Why not make another Star Wars RPG? It's frustrating because I know Bioware can do better than this. But they're not being allowed to. And this game may just tank them. It's like when a friend of yours goes to Iraq or Afghanistan and they take a bullet to the head, so they come back a little bit damaged. They're still your friend, but they keep on drooling in a barrel and staring vacantly at the sunset. Occasionally you might see a glimmer of their old personality somewhere in their dazed expression, but on the whole, it's gone. That's Bioware to me right now. It's a shell of its former self, and it's a big shame. But I guess when talent goes, the studio collapses. Alright, enough about the storyline and the characters and all that stuff. How is the actual gunplay? How is blowing stuff up? Somewhat satisfying. You do get a good range of abilities, from grenades to shields to cover a certain area, to various other abilities that you can throw in and take out. So yes, shooting stuff up is fun, and flying around and hovering in the air and shooting stuff up as well is the pièce de résistance of this game. If nothing else, it does get the action down. It's the coup de grace, it's the petit filou. I'm sorry, my French is terrible. In the thickest of battles, I have had a lot of fun just flying around, reviving my teammates, blowing stuff up. It's all good. But occasionally that just won't happen. Mainly because battles are too easy, or further issues, bullshit sends you crashing out of the game. Or, and this happened to me one time, I just didn't get my reward. All the enemies were killed off, these two guys had come in to help me, and yeah, nothing happened. Just nothing. So, performance isn't great in this game. A few times now, it has literally sent me back right to the start menu. Other times, I've completed a mission and not gotten any loot. Thankfully, with my PlayStation copy, I didn't have any situations where it switched the whole PlayStation off or brick it or anything like that, so either those stories were a bit BS or I just got lucky, I guess. And I find it really annoying, this isn't a bug but an actual feature, the fact that when you complete a mission with a party, say a storyline one, that if you're in an area, you're given a countdown and then it's over and you come back to the fort or wherever. Maybe I wanted to hang around and get some more loot. You didn't think of that, did you, Anthem? Now, speaking of the other people playing the game, I'm a Billy No Mates on the PlayStation, so I have no one to play with, which is fine. So every time I put the game on, I was put in a party with randos, which again is fine. No one tried speaking to me or anyone else, we just got on with the game, and it worked alright. From what I hear though, playing in a party of your friends can be a bit tricky. Oh, and let's get to the grind. Holy Andraste, the grind in this game is awful. When you're trying to complete storyline missions, halfway through you get the tomb missions. This is bullshit of the highest order. Basically, it's 4 tombs across the map where you have to go to and complete certain tasks before you get to enter them and proceed with the storyline of the game. Let's not forget that. The tasks, you might think, that could be cool, maybe kill a monster, save a place, prove your worth. The tasks are basic stuff you have to do in the game, such as healing people, finding chests, taking care of basic missions, stuff like that. Stuff that you're expected to do along the way, not that you have to do. But no, you have to do this basic bitch work, going along, finding bare asses essentially. Now personally, I didn't have much of an issue once I found the tomb because I was doing that stuff anyway, because I like to see what the entire game has to offer. So I had enough, apart from one thing, triggering combos. Yes, this game has a feature called combos. Basically it's where you use some type of elemental ability like fire or ice or acid, and then you combine it with a catalyst to get more of an effect and do more damage. My explanation of this combo isn't in the game. So when I get to 1-2 and I find out I have to do 15 combos, of which I have done exactly jack shit, I'm like, how do I do that? Eventually, I just went on YouTube and found a tutorial, and I was like, oh, that's what those symbols mean. And I was able to do it, but yes, it's a pain in the ass. This game doesn't explain things you need to know to complete it very well. So yeah, thanks for that again, Bioware. Another frustrating thing, when you're doing a world event, and you die, and you respawn somewhere, I'm not too sure why you happen to respawn at some place, but anyway, you have no idea really where you were unless you were looking at a map when you died, so I guess you have to fly around looking for the same thing again and hope you'll come across it, or try something else. Enemies will just randomly pop in and out of the situation like they're ghosts or something, and please do something about those damn loading times. At least in Dragon Age Inquisition you could scroll between different hints and tips or lore of the game. This one you just have to wait. Do something for that, please. Now, here we come to the loot, and the loot is dull. You don't really customize any of your weapons. The armor, yes, and some of the armor can look quite nice with the options you use, although armor sets are very limited and on some kind of weird rotation in the store, so you just can't buy them whenever you want to. That's a pain. But going back to what I just said, weapons are dull. When you kill an enemy, you might get some loot, you might get a weapon or two which is a level or two above the level of the weapons you're using at the moment, but they look the same. And you keep on doing that, and doing it, and doing it, getting very small improved weapons time and time again. The high quality loot drops are abysmal. At times, Bioware tried to, well, fix the game and accidentally made the loot drops much better, and people liked it. And then they fixed it to how it should have been, which wasn't as fun. You can craft loot, of course, if you have the right equipment to do so, which you can buy with coins, which you can buy with real coins, or just earn it and grind it out in the raids. I personally did not put enough time into the raids to work out exactly how much you got, but from what I hear, it's not a lot. So you might want to work on that as well, Bioware, at some point. With regards to the weapons, the guns are boring, as I've already said, but also there's not that much variety in them. There are your usual modern day guns with a sci-fi sheen to them, like your assault rifles, your shotguns, your pistols. Occasionally get a flamethrower or something like that for the Colossus, but I would have thought they'd be a bit more considering it's a sci-fi setting. Why not some kind of laser beam projectile blaster type thing? I don't know, I'm just spitballing here. The missions as well need to be looked at, since there's only so many times I can do defend the point, or find a certain piece of a relic and put it to this part on the map before I start to switch off. Maybe you could have done something in Fort Tarsus, some kind of actual dialogue based game, or some other type of thing you could have done. I mean, it doesn't always have to be talk, walk, repeat. Another thing that's noticeable in its absence is PvP. Now I know they wanted to focus on PvE, maybe to help with the story. I get that, I do. But come on, it's a game as a service and it doesn't have PvP. You're missing a trick there, Bioware. So get on it. And yes, I know that Anthem was a troubled project. I know it had issues, lots of stresses, lots of people having mental breakdowns. I get it. But a bad game's a bad game. A lot of companies, video game companies, are treating their staff like this. I mean, it has to change, absolutely. But if that leads to a bad game gets a bad score. So yes, as I'm sure you can tell, I wasn't too impressed with Anthem. It was fun at times, I like flying around, I like blowing stuff up, but everything else, the missions, the talking, it was all subpar for me. Anthem gets the majestic score of 2.5 condescending old women out of 5. I hope Bioware do better next time, and there will be a next time. I hope so. And maybe this game will be better in a few months' time when they put in some real DLC that should have been in the base game. But to be honest with you, I've got other games to play, and I don't want to be here to check out Anthem 6 months down the line. So 2.5 out of 5, I think that's fair. It might get better, it might get worse. Who knows? Who cares? Not me. Anyway, thanks for watching my review. I will be back next time with Devil May Cry 5. And until then, have a good one. Bye for now.